demons to some, angels to others.
One thing we can all agree on is death is going to come, and then the afterlife. Ecclesiastes 3 says there's a
Don't touch that dial, ladies and gents. You found another episode of Rancid, Rants, and Reviews. I'm your host, Yeti the Movie Raccoon, and today I've got a special treat for you. I sat down and had a chat with Clarissa Jacobson. She's the writer-producer of Lunch Ladies, one of my favorite shorts of all time. Also, a very important film, which is a great short. She also wrote the book, I Made a Short Film, Now WTF Do I Do With It? It's a great resource for filmmakers. So here's the thing. I usually try to do a more structured thing, but Clarissa's just so fucking cool that I didn't break to do the intro or anything in the show, and this is what you're getting here, is basically just a conversation between the two of us. We talk about Lunch Ladies. We talk about some of her upcoming projects that sound really cool. We talk about movies that we enjoyed over the past year. It's just a good time, man. You guys enjoy. Check the description box below where you can find links to Clarissa's websites for Lunch Ladies and her personal website where you can find her book, and follow her on Instagram at Clarissa J. That'll be in the description too. Let's get into that. I didn't realize it had been 3 years since you had.
Yeah, it's crazy. I made it. Let's see, 2017 was when it played at Holly Shorts, I think. I'm almost positive. That was the first festival was 2017, and then now or maybe it was 2018. It could have been 2018. That sounds more realistic. But we finished it 2017, I think.
Wow. Yeah, because I remember I was looking earlier that you were on the Horror Basement the August of 2018. So I think we.
No, it's 2017.
Was it?
November 2017, or maybe it was October, was my first festival.
Oh, wow.
So 17, 18, it really started going. I don't think I talked to you guys until 2018, maybe.
Yeah, you
did.
didn't.
And then this year was crazy because this year, I wasn't entering any festivals, nothing, and still so much was happening. So much distribution happened this year. So much stuff happened this year. So yeah, 2017. So I finished it in 2016, finished filming it in 2016. It was done in June or July. I don't know, something like that. 2017, our first festival was I want to say November, or maybe it was August of 2017. I can't remember. But yeah, it's been freaking 3 years. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. And it's, I'm so glad it's finally picking up. I remember, I came across the film. I fucking, if I remember correctly, which, I found the Instagram page for the movie on Instagram and was like, oh, hey, I need a screener for this. And then just fell in love. And it's been so cool to watch it, from.
Yeah. I want to see when I do a Google and see when I met you guys.
I know you were on the show in August of last year, I think. Yeah, it was August of last year.
Yeah, here it is. August was when I talked to you guys.
It was just, it's been so cool to being well, I don't know really when it's going to be, anywhere except for a festival, to now it's fucking everywhere.
Dude, I know, and it keeps growing, which is crazy, but I'm glad because I've been working my ass off, and all my people have been helping me so much, and now I can just kind of go, awesome, now it's getting out there and people are seeing it, just that aren't really, you look for films, but people that aren't necessarily looking for films, can find it, see it. So it's just been, I'm lucky, man. I've been very fortunate and lucky to meet a lot of really good people that have helped it along the way. So yeah.
Speaking of really good people, what's it like to get picked up on Troma's personal streaming service?
Oh my God, I'm so know. It's cool. Like trauma, you're going, holy shit, you know, like, and in you know, I was so dumb because when I was there at Trauma New York, like I didn't get to meet Lloyd Kaufman. I kept like freaking walking past him. He's like the coolest guy ever. And he's just been so supportive and so cool. And like everybody that's in the festival, he sends you like a diploma and he signs it. And then he sends a personal handwritten note, you know, thanks for supporting trauma dance. And then it has XX, LK, XO. Like he's just a fucking cool dude, you know? And
Yeah, he is.
when they said they wanted me to like be on it, I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And I called my sales rep. I'm like, yeah, you know, because like we get a lot of offers and they don't say yes to all of them for whatever reason. I don't know why, like, you know, whatever deals we have in place and stuff. But I was like, we got to get on Trauma. I go, I really, really want to be part of Trauma. Like, those are our people. They're like all weird like me. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like a huge honor. I mean, they're the longest running independent film. I'm pretty sure they're the longest running independent film company out there.
Yeah, like 45, almost 50 years, I think. Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, and if you ever get a chance, there's a great documentary that I met a guy that had made it about Lloyd Kaufman and about trauma, and it's freaking fascinating. Like, it's so fascinating. Like, Lloyd grew up with, I want to say he grew up with Scorsese, one of those guys like that. Like, some big, yeah, they were like best friends, and one went one way, and then Lloyd went the other way. He's like, was into theater. His family was into theater, and he was like Shakespeare and stuff, which makes sense now because he's doing like all these spoofs on Shakespeare and shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's like an honor. It's like, oh shit, trauma, man. You know, that's like the coolest. So yeah.
It is.
Yeah. You met him, right? Didn't you guys go do something with Trauma a while back?
Yeah. We were at Full Moon Cineplex. They were premiering Ben Dixon's film that I don't remember the name of on a double bill with Return to Nukem High, and Lloyd was there. And the next night they were doing Return to Nukem High. But Lloyd was there and, you know, doing his thing, and I got to interview him, which was probably the worst interview I've ever done.
What? I can't imagine you doing an interview. What happened?
I was fucking nervous and I was sober.
Oh my God. I bet Lloyd would be like, what? You were nervous talking to me? Because he's such a down-to-earth guy. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I bet it was a lot of interview.
It was fun. It was fun. I will say that. It was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done, but it wasn't great. Because I had planned to like go there and drink and then do the interview. You know, just like I had a bottle of whiskey in my back pocket. You know, I was gonna have a couple of shots and like get myself kind of fucking mellowed down, and we were gonna do the interview. And we went over and approached him and was like, "Hey, would you mind?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's fucking roll. Let's do it now." So,
you were ready.
Yeah. It's like, no, let's not. But I mean, he said, "Let's do it now," and I couldn't tell him no. You know what? Yeah. Fuck no. I'm not. No.
I can't wait. You know what? I have to listen to this one because I haven't heard this one. I'm gonna listen to it this week, and I'll get back to you. I'm sure it's like way better than you think it is. I'm sure like it's really good.
Hopefully.
Yeah. That's awesome though. Yeah, sometimes it's hard when you meet like somebody that you really admire. I used to work at the Grill in Beverly Hills, and I met Carol. Like all these stars would come in and nobody would faze me. Like, I mean, major stars. And then Carol Burnett came in, and it was like, I couldn't even talk. Because I freaking love Carol Burnett. And like, I grew up with Carol Burnett, and she's like so sweet, and like my face was all red. I was just like, oh my God, like I could feel like the heat climbing up in my cheeks talking to her. So I know that feeling. Yeah.
Carol Burnett's like, I don't know, she's like what Hollywood used to be, you know, when it was still.
She's like, yeah, she's just like, I don't know, like I feel like so much of my comedy, like chops, the comedy that I love and the comedy that I like do came from her and Gilda Radner. Like, I just remember just watching Carol Burnett every single week when I was a kid. So watching her, you know, so I was just such huge admiration for her that like meeting her I was really felt like, so the, you know, like people come in like, Arnold Schwarzenegger come in, Dustin Hoffman. You're like, oh, those are cool. Those are stars. And then, but like Carol Burnett was like on a plane of her own, like. She
yeah. It's like I've done. I got a few pretty good sized interviews early on that kind of got me used to it, and I don't get shook usually.
Yeah, I don't feel that way. You seem pretty mellow. Like, I'm surprised, but yeah, every once in a while there's that person that you really admire, and you're just like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm talking. And it's kind of surreal. You're like, this is really surreal and bizarre, that I'm talking to this person.
Yeah. It was Lloyd Kaufman and Joe Bob Briggs. I caught a little bit there too with Joe Bob. It was like, Jesus, this guy. But he's another one who's super, like, if you ever get a chance to like talk to him, he's super down to earth.
Right.
He's just a good old boy from Texas, really.
Oh, well, easy for you though, man, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Wow.
So let's talk about the book.
Oh gosh. It's been amazing, like what's been going on with my book, like. Well, okay, so like my story, like that I didn't want to write the book, right?
No.
Yeah. So I didn't. So I wrote this book. I made a short film. WTF do I do with it? A guide to film festivals, promotion, survive the ride. And Josh, who's the director of Lunch Ladies, he'd been on me for like a year and a half to write it, because he's like, you've learned so much. You should write this book. You should write this book. And I'm like, oh, dude, I don't want to sit down and write a book. That's a lot of work. Like, I write screenplays, which is like, I know how to write screenplays. They're different skills, and I'm like thinking, God, am I going to sit down and write a book, But then so many filmmakers would come to me and they'd be like, how'd you do what you did? How'd you get like all the promotion? Because like, this was my first film and I had to learn so much. So I learned everything by like trial and error. And so people would call me up, and then I'd spend like 2-3 hours a week explaining to people, but I couldn't even scratch the surface about like how to get subtitles, how to promote your film, how to do press kits, all the things that I had to learn. So finally, I just was like, shit, I should just, I should sit down and do this. And I was pretty surprised, because when I started doing it, I wrote it in like a month and a half. I was up to like 4 o'clock in the morning every night, like working on it. Like there was so much to write. So then I finished it, and then I got a publisher came to me. At first I self-published it because I was like, I don't have time to wait. Like, this information's all like valid now. I don't know if it's going to be valid a year or two from now. And like most publishers, they take like, it's a long haul to get your book published. Usually you have to like get it read, which might take like 3 months to get it read, and then another 6 months to get it published, minimum. But I had like, so I decided to like publish it myself because I didn't want to wait. And then I got laid out by this Mike Kelleher, he's a short filmmaker that I met. Really great guy. And his wife, she does amazing work she lays books out and does graphic design and stuff like that. So she did it for me, got her to do it. And it looked just beautiful. And so like it was already done. So I queried a few publishers, and this publisher took it right away. And he was like, because, it looked beautiful and everything. And he was like, I can get it published in a month. So then it got published, and now I just kind of been getting it out there, and I have a bunch of talks. I'm doing 2 talks that come out for France, which is blowing my mind. So I'm super excited about that. That's in February. And it's really like great thing because it helps filmmakers. It also gets the word out about Lunch Ladies. Like, it's just another way to also promote Lunch Ladies, because I got to talk about Lunch Ladies. And it's been really great. Yeah. Glad I wrote it. I'm really glad I wrote it out.
It's really cool.
You know what I mean? Writing a book is hard.
Yeah, it's like, I could sit down and write, but like, we tried to put together a script, and like, A, I hate group projects, and B, like, they're like, oh yeah, here, this is the format that you do it in. You know what I'm saying? I'd never even read a script before, so they put it in front of me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do APA, I can do this. Format's not a thing. And I just realized how much I hated it. So like, I'm surprised that I'm not surprised that it's, it's like, God damn, I don't want to write a book. I do screenwriting. This is not, so that makes total sense.
Writing a
Yeah.
book is a totally, like, somebody can be an amazing book writer and can't write a script, and somebody can be an amazing script writer. I mean, they're like totally different things. Like, my teacher always talks about screenwriting. It's like the maximum amount of visual for the least amount of words. So you always have to remember it's a visual medium. So everything that you create on the page is the least amount of words. So it's almost like poetry, like, whereas a book, you're going to explain 3 paragraphs for one thing. And like good screenwriting is like one sentence to explain like the most amazing visual. So it's always about less is more, less is more. How do I move the story forward? It's a very specific style. It took me years to learn how to screenwrite, and I have an amazing class I talk about all the time. But yeah, it's a completely different skill. I mean, I do believe if you write one, you can write the other, but I don't think that it's like something. I mean, we're taught to write books. We're taught to write essays, in school.
Yeah.
It's a completely different thing. Like, it's not. I don't think most people would know how to do it right away. I think most people need like a class and a group of people to help them with it. But yeah, like, I love screenwriting, and I mean, I did enjoy writing this book, but it was not something that I thought that I was going to do or that I wanted to do. But like, now I'm really glad I did it. But yeah.
I've read, started it. It's so fucking hard to like sit down and read because there's always something, and that's.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
That's one of those things that's
gonna made a short film, so it's not really like for you. It's not like something you're like super passionate about because like you don't like. It's a super, like, my books, from what I've heard from other people, is a super fast read and a super easy read, but it's like super filled with a shitload of information, and it's for filmmakers. So it's like, if you haven't made a short film and you're not looking for those answers, it's like at the top of your list to read,
Yeah, it's like an instruction manual for.
Yeah. How-to book. I mean, it's I talk about. I mean, I've had people read it that aren't filmmakers and like, oh my god, I got a lot of stuff out of this that I could use for my job in other ways, about social media, because I talk a lot about like, my own personal. Because a lot of people think that if you're good at social media, it's because you like it or you're always good at it. And like, I talk a lot about the fact that I freaking hated social media before.
Oh, so much.
I hated it. I fucking hated it. And in the book I talk about, what your goal is. And if your goal is to get your film seen, well, it's just like anything else. Like you got to find a way to love social media because that's how you're going to reach a lot of people. So you got to figure it out. So people are like, oh, well, you're good at it. You're good at social media. That's why you got so many people like, I'm like, no, dude, I made myself good at it because I had to.
Right.
You don't posting all the time. I'm sure you're like, oh fuck, I gotta post today, or I gotta do this today, or I gotta like. But it's just part of your work to get your site out there and your podcast stuff,
Right. And that's totally relevant to us. Like, to me especially, because it's like lately I just like I don't even want to have social media. Like I don't want to do it anymore. But I don't have a choice. This is the industry we're in,
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You got to like find a way to love it. You have to find a way to like make it interesting for yourself. And, you have to, like, I just try to tell people, like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I was a person who didn't even want Facebook. Like, I didn't even have a freaking Facebook page. I didn't know how to use Twitter. I was like, Twitter, what's a hashtag? I think I was calling it a pound. I'd be like, pound, hashtag. And then the people be like, Clarissa, you sound like an old lady. It's like called a hashtag. Like, I didn't even. Like, pound short film. No, it's hashtag short film, Clarissa.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, you look at me, like, talk about the learning curve that I had.
Oh, man.
So like I have a section because everybody thinks that if you do good at promotion, that it's because you're good at it. And it's not necessarily that. I mean, you just have to do it. Showing up is 90% of it.
Right.
Show up, do your work, post your stuff, create interesting content, talk to people, connect with people. It's all like kind of one-on-one stuff. But I think there is like a kind of an idea out there that there are certain people that are good at it and certain people that aren't. And I say everybody can be good at it. They just have to look at it in a way of, hey, it's gonna help me get to my goal.
Yeah. I think it's important to have like a voice, you know, to make yourself stand out. Like the Lunch Ladies Instagram is it's definitely its own brand, you know. Like it stands out from, you know, 100 other short film Instagram accounts that are just the same old shit all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's
you know, I just created it to make it fun. But now I'm kind of slowing down with it because it's like I'm kind of trying to figure out how I can kind of slow, because that's the other thing is like now I wrote the book and I use all my like social media and I explain like how I did it. So it's kind of like it's connected to the book now, but I'm kind of done with doing. I wouldn't say I'm done, but like, you know, at the height of Lunch Ladies, I was posting every day. There was so much content. Like I was posting sometimes twice a day. There was so much content. So now it's kind of like there's less content. And I'm kind of going, nobody ever talks about like, how do you like kind of weed it out where you're like not posting all the time and not really working on it as much. But you know, because you can't be posting for 25, 30 years on it, you know, I mean.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, you want to be able to stick out. Like, I think all your guys' content is like really unique too. Like I look at your stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely TN horror. Like you have a certain brand, certain logo, certain idea, like how you want it to look. You know, that's really important too. Yeah.
I try to say, you know, kind of, that's we're trying to find a voice, and me personally, I am too, because just trying to find some way to stand out. Jesus, it's getting harder every day though. But you know.
Well, I just think like you're a unique person, so like, just bring your unique. I just feel like if you're authentic and you're unique, you know, everybody's unique and everybody's unique. Everybody's different from everybody else. I think what happens is people are they're just not authentic, or they try to be like somebody else. So like with Lunch Ladies, I was like, you know, these two women are total bitches. You love them, but they're bitches, and they're always like doing these things that they shouldn't be doing. So just be that.
Right.
That's authentic to who they are. And I just feel like if you're authentic, people are going to want to listen to you. I mean, that's kind of like the way that I feel like when I follow stuff is I'm like, is this authentic? And like, and you have to be creative too. Like you can't just be like, I mean, I talk to filmmakers about that too. Like, no, people don't want to hear you going like every single freaking day. Like, hey, I'm in, you know, Film Fest number 37. I'm in Film Fest number 38. Like it gets boring. So you have to like find ways to like announce stuff in creative ways and think outside the box. And sometimes that's hard, like having announcements and thinking outside the box. But yeah, I think authenticity is the main thing that people really like respond to more than anything, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely important.
Yeah. I think you guys are doing great.
Thank you. I think we're hitting a stride now, honestly. I think we're gonna go somewhere from here. Or burn it all down. Just whatever happens, we're gonna have fun with it.
And you know what else? The thing is consistency is a lot. Like seriously, like just posting and being consistent is huge. That's huge. Because eventually, you know, people start to pick up on it. Like if you're consistent and you post and you have new content coming out, I do think that people start to pick up on it, and then like people share it and stuff like that, you know? And yeah, I mean, some people I think showing up, honestly, it's just like writing. It's like sometimes you don't feel like writing, but you just got to show up. Just show up. That's 90% of the game. Show up. Sit your ass down. Stare at your screen, even if you don't have anything to write, you know? Just
type. Just hammer the home row until something happens. That's what I do sometimes. I just sit there and I'll put music on and just like hammer keys in time to the music until the idea starts to flow.
Oh my God, I know. Like somebody said to me once, what do you do if inspiration doesn't strike? And I'm like, dude, that's like 90% of the time. You're lucky if inspiration strikes. Most of the time you got to sit there and go, what the fuck am I writing? For me, I'm not like getting visited by inspiration every freaking day.
Yeah. It's like people, you know, I get asked like, how do you know, especially like when I was on a hot streak, it's like, how do you do it? And I was like, honestly, I smoke pot and I drink and I write like I talk, you know?
Yeah. Like I bled onto the keyboard, you know, like I bled onto the keyboard to words come out. Like writing is not easy at all.
No.
having written is easy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know? Yeah, sometimes I look at shit that I've written. I'm like, I cannot fucking believe that I wrote that. Because I don't know how I did it. Like when I look at my script sometimes, I'm like, because I get stuck on like page 30 and I'll sit there for a week. Can't not be able to get past page 30. And somehow I'll always get past it, you know? And then I look back at the script I finished and I'm like, how the hell did I ever figure that out?
Or even, why did I get stuck there?
Yeah.
Like it's like everything seems so natural. It's like, how the hell did I get stuck there? Huh.
Like the hardest thing with writing, like my teacher always says, he says, keep it stupid simple. So like the best writing is simple, and that's the hardest thing to do. So like when you finally achieve simplicity, then it looks like, fuck, that was so easy. Like you made it look easy, but it was just really, really hard.
That's the key. Yeah. I think there's a good amount of like magic in it somewhere.
Oh, totally. There's definitely the muses, because sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna write next, and then you will then somewhere it'll come from somewhere that you have no idea like where it came from.
It's like, oh damn, there it is. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Man,
it's hard. It's hard. Writing is hard.
So
and social media is hard.
Oh Jesus, it's all hard. It's people think that like, oh, you're just writing, or you're doing this or doing that, or you're a filmmaker. Oh, your life is easy. It's like, fuck you.
No, man. Like filmmaking and writing. The only thing harder than writing, I think, is acting. I think acting is probably the hardest thing in the world.
I want nothing to do with it. Yeah, that's somebody else's gig.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as an actor, it's so fucking hard. There's a lot of people that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but like people that are actually like serious actors that are like going to that place and being vulnerable and doing like the work, all the work that requires, you're just like, oh fuck, it's so hard. It's so hard. Right. It looks easy, but it's not.
And I think that's the important part of all of it. Is make it look easy.
Yeah, none of the creative fields are easy if you're doing what you're supposed to. But that's why we're doing them. It's like there's such a big satisfaction. Like when I did something like, when I've written a script that took like 1,000 hours to write it and it was so freaking hard and you finished it, like the satisfaction, it's like running a freaking marathon. Like after you run a marathon, you're like, shit, I can't believe I did that.
And you finally save and close and walk away, and it feels so fucking good.
So proud of yourself, and it's like it's awesome. It's awesome, but it's like excruciating.
Yeah.
At the same.
Yeah.
Gluttons for punishment in some weird sort of way.
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't know, like I think at least once a month I almost quit.
Oh
like,
my
at
god!
Least.
I didn't quit, but I've been like, oh my god, I'll never get it.
Yeah.
That's
just
how I felt.
Fucking...
Yeah, like it's brought me to tears before. Like I've been like, I'm never gonna fucking get past this page.
Or just like halfway through a project, imposter syndrome hits.
Yeah, but I don't have it anymore so much because I feel like, fuck, I've been doing this so long. Like I got my brain around the fact that most people they don't feel like they know what they're doing, because you never really know what you're doing because there's always room to learn. And so then I figure that, oh shit, I actually know more than most people. So I used to feel like an imposter a lot. I don't feel like an imposter anymore, but frequently I keep thinking it's going to get easier, and it never really gets easier because you get better. So because you get better, you have a higher bar.
Right.
It never gets easier,
It's like, yeah, no, it'll get easier for like a span of, a couple of weeks or something. And it's like, oh yeah, look at this. And it's like, no, I can do better.
Yeah, you know what you're doing, but it's still hard. It's like right now I'm writing a new script. I haven't written a script by myself in a while. And I'm like, holy shit, like I'm stuck on page 32 for like 2 weeks now.
So what's the script you're writing?
I'm writing this script called Well, it's interesting because I've been doing a lot of research about it, but like in the Victorian times, they've been disproven, but they said that they were these things called tear catchers that people would wear. So like someone would die and they would cry into them and capture the tears. This is the myth. They would capture the tears, and when the tears would evaporate, they could be done mourning. So it's basically about this woman nowadays that she buys one of these at a flea market. And it, and she's like, it's bullshit. But then she puts it around her neck and she starts to take on the persona of the person that cried. So it's kind of like a possession ghost type story about this. And it goes like, it has like a foot in the Victorian times, which is just super fascinating. Like if anybody wants to read, like, if you ever want to like read like crazy shit about like the mourning and the death stuff going on, it like the way people handled death in the Victorian times, it's like the stories are insane. So I've been reading a lot of stuff about that, but like I always wanted to write a ghost story. So like I'm writing this kind of like ghost story that's kind of got this historical bent to it, and like, but I'm stuck on, like I said, I'm stuck on page 32 for like a week and a half now.
Oh, son of a bitch.
I know. But I did write like 3 paragraphs like this weekend, and I was really proud of myself.
See, there you go.
Yeah, I always feel like as long as you're moving a little forward, it's never wasted. So
yeah, definitely. So feature length or?
Yeah, feature like yeah, I'm not too interested in doing any shorts anymore. Like I mean, I did Lunch Ladies, it was awesome, but like it's like there's so much. I mean, like I talked in my book about this, like what your goal is with your short film. And a lot of people, they make a lot of short films because they have a different goal with their short film. Their short film is like, they want to like keep making stuff, or they want to do this. Like my goal with my short film was to get a feature made, which has not happened yet, but there's a lot of other cool shit that's happening. So like if I ever made another short film again, it would be to get a feature made. And in order to do that, it's a lot of work. Like,
right.
If you're a person that's just making short films to make content, you don't have to do all the shit that I had to do, which was like promote. And it was like 3 years of my life. So I'd rather take that 3 years of my life and put it towards making a feature next, because I've already done a short. So it's just like a lot of energy, So like some people, they do like a short film like every 6, 7, 8 months, but they're not going on the same ride like I did with Lunch Ladies, which was like insane, So yeah, for me, I don't want to really make another short. So I have quite a few features that I've written, and then now I'm writing this one because I want to write a ghost story, and I have this idea, which has been pretty cool researching it. So yeah.
It sounds like a really cool idea. I like the idea of picking up possessed objects at random. I've actually got I'm stuck at like 1,600 words on a story about a guy who buys a painting of a Nordic witch, and she was I've been researching the Torsäker witch trials in Sweden.
Ooh, wow, that's fascinating.
So she's like like her spirit was summoned by a descendant and placed in this painting and yada yada yada. But yeah, like the same kind of, I really dig the idea of a character going out and being like, oh well, this is neat, or I like this thing, or for whatever reason, and then just being slapped with this whole world of paranormal bad.
Yeah, exactly. And like my character is like, I want her to like, well, the idea is that she can't cry. So, of course, what's going to set her free is the ability to cry.
Yeah.
Because that's what this thing is. But like, did you see Velvet Buzzsaw?
No.
Okay, you should see it because it's by the same guy who did Nightcrawler. My friend doesn't like this movie, but I freaking loved it. But it is about possessed paintings, which is fascinating. It might be like good research for yours. I mean, it's different than yours, but it's about it's about these horrible people in the art world, and they stumble on this art, which everybody is like totally into, but this artwork is like possessed.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's right now I think on Prime Video, or maybe it's Netflix. I can't remember, but I enjoyed it.
Seen it somewhere. Like I've
Jake Gyllenhaal. It's a really good cast. I like him.
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
He's always good, but it'd be good research for your thing. I mean, it's not the same idea, but like it's got like the idea of, like I like stuff like that too, like possessed objects and shit like that, and how it like enters other people and ghosty kind of things and stuff like that. So yeah.
I dig that. So where are we at on feature length Lunch Ladies? What's the odds you think?
I think it's going to happen, but just not on my timeline. So like I've got a couple other projects going right now, which are really close to happening. I think I think I've told you a lot about my project Land of Milk and Honey, which is about Elizabeth Bathory. So there's been a lot of I haven't? Oh,
no.
Okay. Yeah, so I met the director of that at Morbido Fest in Mexico City when I was there with Lunch Ladies. We were standing in line. They couldn't at the festival. They couldn't get the doors open for the opening night, and I'm standing outside. And I meet Gisberg, and he's from Venezuela, lived in Madrid, but he's also lived in the U.S. before. But he did a film called The Whistler, which did really well, and that was a feature film. And I saw it before it got picked up, and I was like, oh my god, I think it'd be perfect for my Bathory script, and he loved it, and so then he got a producer involved, and so I really think that's going to happen in next year. There's a lot of like really amazing things happening, and it's about
awesome.
I don't know if you know anything about Elizabeth Bathory, but it's
a little bit.
Yeah, so she was the world's most prolific serial killer. She lived in the 1600s, and they think that Dracula may have been written about her because but they didn't want to say it was about a woman because it was too horrifying. But basically, supposedly she bathed in the blood of young virgin women under the age of 20, killed over 200 to 400 people. So it's a movie about her, but it's from the viewpoint of the accomplice, the only woman that got off. So I wrote that, and that's I think it's happening in next year. And then there's another project that I did, which is like a ghost hunter movie, but like they're really, really awful people and they get what's coming to them. And that's called Spook Stalkers, and I think that's going to happen next year. So my friend Shane and I were going to direct that, and then I have another project, Stella by Starlight, and another project. So like I've got quite a few projects. Like
wow.
One of them's going to happen, and I just think once one of them happens, then Lunch Ladies will happen.
Yeah.
It's a disappointment that Lunch Ladies hasn't happened yet. But I really believe that it will happen. I don't know why. I just think it's not happening on the timeline that I want it to. And it is horror comedy, which is one of the hardest things to get made. I don't know why, but people are always afraid to put money into horror comedies, I think, because a lot of them don't succeed. But I think Lunch Ladies, I mean, it's, sometimes it takes a long, long time to get shit done. So, I mean, I haven't given up. But yeah, I haven't gotten the feature money yet for it, but I've got these other projects that I think, I just think one will happen, and maybe Lunch Ladies will happen next.
I'd like to see either one of those. Like I would really like to see the Bathory project get made because I love shit like that.
Oh yeah, it feels really good. I mean, we like it. Like there's just a lot of amazing. We've been gearing up. We have an amazing producer involved, and they've already gone location scouting. They've already done like some storyboards. So I just, I think it's, this business is weird because things can, not happen and happen, and it's just like you always have to take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty hopeful about it, and I think next year's going to be super exciting. I just have a feeling it's going to be a really good year. So, but I haven't given up on. I'm not giving up. Still looking for that feature money to make Lunch Ladies.
I think that would be cool, but like I said, either of the other ones. I love seeing stuff like ghost hunters getting fucked up in houses. Like I love it. God, what was that one? Grave Encounters. Have you seen that?
No, I should see it though, because I've been
You
looking.
should.
They were asking me like kind of like some comps, like comparable movies. I'm like, I knew there's been a few out there. I mean, this one's kind of it's got a lot of comedy in it, but these people are really, really awful. But like I haven't really quite seen. I mean, I haven't seen anything like it, but I've seen one ghost hunter movie, but I didn't know tell me the name of that one again.
It's Grave Encounters.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
really good. I think that's the best one I can really think of. There's a few others like Haunting a Whaley House, or there's Alone in the Ghost House, but that's not it's not great.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out for sure.
Yeah,
For
Great
sure.
Encounters is really good. There's a sequel too that I haven't seen, but you know how sequels go.
Right.
So,
Cool.
but
All right, well, I'll definitely check that. I know it's like I can't even keep up on like all the good movies coming out. I'm just like, fuck. You know, like all the great horror movies. I'm like, oh shit, that one came out. I haven't seen that yet. I finally got around to seeing Marianne, which oh my god, I loved it so much. I don't know if you've seen that yet. The series on
not
Netflix.
yet.
Oh my god, I loved it so much. That was like my favorite series of the year. Well, Fleabag I liked, but it's good. Marianne I thought was terrifying.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good stuff about it.
Yeah, I mean, some people that I know were like, oh, I liked it, but I wasn't terrified. But then other people that I know that are diehard horror people that have seen a million things were like, yeah, I was fucking terrified. I was terrified. I almost didn't make it through the 5th episode. It was that scary.
Jesus. That's cool.
But you're super like, you might be like, nah. But it's good. It's good for sure.
I do know it's French, so like that has my
Yeah, the French man. And they're not really known for their horror. So like it's really interesting to see their horror because it's really good and the Europeans can go to a place that American horror can't.
Oh yeah.
So they'll break all the rules that we won't, you know?
It's like some of my favorite horror movies are French. Like
which ones?
Martyrs, Inside. It's so okay, like for real. It's it's like a Serbian film. It's not as bad as all the hype will lead you to believe. And it's a really beautifully made film. But
that's what I've heard. But I've heard like the people that have seen it have been like, I wish I hadn't seen it because it was so horrifying. That's what I'm afraid of.
Broke me.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. People that were like, fuck, that film was amazing, but fuck, I wish I hadn't seen that film.
I was sad for like 6 hours. It stuck with me for a month solid, and I can't wait to see it again. Like,
see, this is what I've heard about it. That's why I'm afraid to see it. That's why I'm afraid to see it, because I'm afraid it's gonna like bum me out like forever.
Oh, it's like so nihilistic. It's just so fucking bleak, but it's so good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Like that's what the director of my bachelor film, he goes, oh, I love that movie. I'm like, I'm scared to see it. He goes, I love it. It's such a great movie, but it fucks you up. You watch it, it fucks you up. I have to like prepare myself for being fucked up. Like I have to be like, but I've hyped it up so much right now. Like maybe I won't be that like, you know.
Also, Inside is really good.
Inside, what is this?
That's it's like La Intrier or something. Anyway, it's Is
it Lars von Trier?
No. I just can't pronounce French.
Oh.
I can't remember who it was. It wasn't. I can't. I'm pulling a complete blank. But it's a home invasion movie, and it's about this psychotic woman who breaks into the house. It's Christmas Eve. The woman in the house is set to give birth the next day, and the woman breaks in with the intention of taking the baby.
Ooh.
It's fucking gnarly. And I mean, there are American remakes of both of those. Don't watch them, they suck.
Yeah, that's usually what happens, isn't it? Yeah, I know I gotta see Martyrs, but it's like I don't know if you know that movie, The House That Jack Built. Now I normally don't like anything that Lars von Trier does because I just think he's super self-aware, and I didn't want to see The House That Jack Built because like 100 people walked out at Cannes Festival saying it was just like it wasn't art, it wasn't all these things, and I've been terrified to see it because I know in the movie he kills kids in it, right? Because it's about a serial killer. Well, I had a friend that was like, oh my God, it's genius. It's genius. You got to see it. And I'm like, and I wouldn't see it because I was so terrified to see it. So I had it all hyped up in my mind, right? Well, I saw it. It is the first time I ever had respect for Lars von Trier because it is fucking genius. It's like a masterpiece. It's disturbing as fuck, but it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But like, I had it so hyped up in my mind, I was a little terrified to see it. And then all those people that had walked out going, oh my God, like all angry about it, which I'm just like, no, you're just like, you didn't even stay to the end, so you don't even get the whole point of the movie. But that was another one of those movies like Martyrs where I'm like, fuck, I'm really afraid to see it. Like, am I going to have nightmares? Is it going to be like a movie I wish I never saw? I mean, believe me, like The House that Jack Built is not for everybody. And it's not even something that I know if I'd even recommend. But when I would say it's a masterpiece, genius thing. And I'm fucking glad I saw it. But it's disturbing as fuck.
Yeah, I feel that way about a few. It's just like, I don't know if I'd ever tell anybody to watch it, but it, I haven't seen House That Jack Built. I got yelled at by my other editor a couple of days ago because I haven't seen Midsommar.
I haven't seen that yet either, but I heard that was really good.
Me too. I just haven't got around to it yet because
Me neither.
there's just so much,
I'm gonna put that on my list. And then so many people tell me to see Martyrs, but now I've been putting it off for like 2 years now. Because I'm a little terrified to see it.
When you watch it, let me know. I'll watch it again, and we'll do a Skype call and just discuss it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody says it like fucks you up, but it's just a genius movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody I know. I mean, I know so many people. My sister, she freaking loves that movie too. I love that movie.
So good. Like, I think I'm not going to give anything away, but one of my favorite parts is it splits in the middle where the story shifts focus from one character to the other. And this character,
unique. Never heard of that.
She's tortured. But like when you see a torture film, it's like they're just, there's a lot of banter and they're like having fun with it, or they're, some like Saw where there's like a moral high ground kind of thing that they got going on.
Right.
In Martyrs, the torture is so clinical.
I don't know if I can see it, man. I don't know.
There's no passion to it at all. It's just like, oh, well, it's 3:30. Gotta go, time to go make the donuts.
God, I don't know if I can see it. I'm gonna have to see it though, because I've heard too
do it.
About it.
Do it. I think it's
talks about that film. Everybody talks about that film.
Yeah, it's because it's that good, and a lot of people will never watch it again. It's like, no, fuck that, never again. But me personally, I think anybody who's really into good, who's like really into horror should watch that. I think it belongs on a list with like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hellraiser and The Exorcist, and
wow,
just at a different part on the list.
I saw this week that I fucking blew my mind, which like I don't, it's not for everybody either. Have you seen Santa Sangre, the Mexican film that's now like been reprinted? It's on like Prime Video streaming right now.
No, I've heard of it.
It's probably one of my top 10 favorite films now. It's like, it's a horror film that it's like kind of Fellini-esque with like, it's really surreal and weird and crazy, but it's like, I couldn't finish the whole thing because I was really tired. So I watched half of it. I had a nightmare.
Whoa.
And I don't know why, because it's not scary. Like it's like a mind fuck bizarre. And then at the end I was crying because it was so like the characters were like it had so much emotion in it. But some people see it because it's like there's like crazy shit going. Like it's nothing you've ever seen. It's like nothing you've ever seen. But
I'm gonna have to check it out then. That sounds great.
I loved it so much. I just was like, it blew my mind. But it's weird. It's like a totally weird film. But it's like one of the weirdest horror films you'll ever see.
I like weird. Weird's good.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
As long as it's like not just weird for the sake of being weird. Like Mandy, last year was everybody's,
I couldn't get through Mandy. I gotta check that.
I fucking, it could have been a short.
Yeah, I got through. I mean, I was really tired the night I was watching it, and like I only got through, and then I was kind of like, I just felt like it was super like self-indulgent. But then I was like, then I heard like once you see the whole thing, like, I mean, I can't really make a judgment on it because I only saw the first half, like when he ripped off the girl or the wife or killed her or whatever. Like after that, I just stopped watching it because it was like too like over the top. But I needed to come back to it because so many people love that movie. Like,
I was angry about it. I was so fucking mad about it. Because like the trailer sells you this like heavy metal psychedelic trip, you know? And,
right.
Like at one point where they kill the wife or the girlfriend or whatever, it's like they bound her in barbed wire and set her on fire, burned her to ash, and made it boring. The whole time I'm watching this movie going, I should be on board. This should be my fucking jam. But I was just so bored.
Yeah, I wasn't into it, but I got to see the whole thing. I mean, maybe, you know, sometimes it's weird. It's like you walk out of the house that Jack built halfway through, you're never good. You have no right to even comment on what that movie is because until you see the last 20 minutes of that film, you don't know what it is. So I'm like, okay, like I really can't comment on Mandy because who knows? I might see the last freaking 30 minutes of it and think it's amazing. Because sometimes you're stuck in the beginning and they are amazing at the end, you know?
Yeah, well,
together.
The last 30 minutes of that film is the only part of the movie I liked, honestly, because it gets fucking hyper violent and bloody, and Nicolas Cage just goes
like it though. If it's
bad shit.
Oh, really? So you don't feel like it tied it all together at the end or anything? It just kind of was like, didn't make it worthwhile?
It didn't. It wasn't enough to make up for the slog that was the first like hour.
First half. God, people love that movie. Yeah, I'm gonna revisit that one. Yeah, I mean, I was like kind of like, I don't like a movie that's super self-indulgent, and I felt like it was really self-indulgent and self-aware. But maybe that was the style, and maybe that was, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna definitely revisit that one though. I'll revisit that though. But I was with you. I was on board with you. Like I wasn't like, I was a little bored. I was kind of like, oh, it's self-aware. It's over the top, you know. And I didn't finish it. So.
It felt like for the first like hour, it was like just the director being completely in his own ass for a while.
Exactly. That's what I thought. That's why I couldn't get on through it. But then it's like I said, you know, like sometimes you see and then you see the last 40 minutes and you understand like why they did everything they did the way they did. So I mean, I have to reserve judgment, but I wasn't like, I was surprised, like, cause when I first saw the first like 40 minutes of it and I didn't finish it, like I said, but you know, people just are like, love that film. Like people are like, I think that was probably the biggest, it could have been like the biggest indie film last year, I think.
I think so.
Festival circuit. Yeah. It seemed like it was like everybody was totally into it. Yeah.
I think it was made to, like, no bullshit. I really think it was made to watch while taking acid.
Hey.
Like, like because of the colors and like some of the, and I mean, they're like, there's a bunch of, they're like making devil acid in the movie. So I mean, like, I really do.
Wow, this is crazy. This is like, but it felt kind of like a movie that I'd seen before, like one of those old 60s movies where you're kind of like, oh, like, you know, you got the cult leader and you've got like all these weird shit going on. Like, well, I'll have to revisit that one and maybe Martyr if I can myself to watch it, man. I'm telling you, everybody loves that movie. It's like it's a genius. It's like a genius torture porn movie, right? Like it's a torture movie, right? Like
there's torture in it, but it's more psychological than anything.
Oh, well then I like that because I like movies that are psychological.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, like the there's some gore and there's some torture, but that's not the focus.
Wow.
That just serves the plot, which is always nice.
Well, am I going to be able to sleep after I see it?
I honestly, like, for real, I would watch it early in the evening, maybe have a drink, and
Oh
watch some
shit!
cartoons. Like, for real. And I'm the fucking, I like the depths of the bad. It's just like,
Right.
yeah, save you some time, have a drink, watch some cartoons afterwards, and just
Well, you know I'm gonna have to see it because if I'm afraid to see it, I'll have to see it.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, you got to. It's fucking great. And that same director, Pascal Laugier, he did a movie called Incident in a Ghostland.
Oh, I've
That
heard of this
movie
movie.
is fucking phenomenal. It's on Shudder right now. It
Really?
is amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So this guy's some sort of genius, obviously.
Yeah, he's made everything that I've seen by him has been like at least pretty good. Like
Huh?
Martyrs and Ghostland were both like phenomenal films. He did a film called The Tall Man.
Okay.
Uh, here probably I think it was like 2007 or 2008 or earlier, but it was no, it was like 2003 or five, but it was like about Slender Man basically, but
Ooh,
it
that's always a
but
scary topic.
but not. It was like that was what it was built on, and then there's a twist, and it was a good, and that one won't make you lose sleep. Guy's just a great director.
Wow. No, I'll definitely have to. I mean, I finally saw, like I said, The House of Jack built. And that one was kind of like I had a lot of curiosity about that because it's so divided. People, some people were like saying, "Oh, he's not an artist. The actors are culpable. This is not art." And da da da. Whenever anybody
Oh,
says something isn't art, then I'm like, I gotta see that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
When you're like, it should never have been made, or like you want to burn books or shit like that, I'm like, I gotta see that movie. I don't care how bad it is. I gotta like see that movie, like
oh,
because there's so much anger about it.
absolutely. A thousand positive reviews wouldn't get me to watch a movie, but like one person saying it was like soul poisoning trash or something, and
Exactly will get you to watch a movie. Well, I mean, at Cannes, 100 people walked out, and then it also got a standing ovation.
that's awesome.
So, and there were people like, oh, well, people at Cannes will clap for anything. But you know what? I thought it was a masterpiece. I don't like Lars von Trier. I don't like anything he does, and I thought that was fucking genius. It was genius to me. But it's a hard movie to sit with. But I was so intrigued by it because I'm like, there was people that were just like angry. They were like super angry about it, like walking out. Like that's never happened at Cannes, as far as I know. 100 people walking out of a screening.
That's pretty fucking insane. There's so many movies out there that people are just so dead set that they're just evil and never should have been made, and people should be in jail for making them, and it blows my mind.
Yeah, right. I'm like, stop bringing your own shit to it and see what was the artist trying to do. As long as nobody was hurt on set and nobody was like,
Yeah,
I mean, what is that artist trying to say? And that's what I was like, oh, that's so interesting. It's a character study about. Yeah, I don't like what the serial killer does, but that's true to his character. He would do that, and like what was
yeah,
he saying about that? And I just thought it was so interesting. But it took me a long time to see it because I was like, oh God, I don't know if I want to have like, are there going to be images in it? And I mean, frankly, it wasn't half as violent as people said it was, there was not as much blood as a lot of stuff that I see, or a lot of torture. I mean, Hard Candy was harder for me than that. Like Hard Candy, still to this day, I can't like fucking deal with. But like, it was not half as bad. It just was bad because you're like, you ever see children killed you don't see that. I thought the violence toward the woman was worse than the child, but
yeah.
I mean, it was both stuff that you're afraid, like, you don't ever see that in a movie. And so like people are like, oh, well, you can't kill children in a movie. And I'm like, well, fucking serial killers kill children all the time. So
Yeah,
you may not want to watch it or be with it, but it's true. So it just was interesting for me because I was really scared to see it, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it did stick with me because I thought it was just genius how he wrapped it up and how his imagination about like, it was a character study, but
yeah.
so now I'll have to put Martyrs on there and have to see that and have nightmares for weeks.
I've found that almost everything that I've encountered that's been talked up so big about how, disturbing and, blah, blah, blah it is, has not been quite that bad.
Yeah.
Like I will admit though, they are effective. Like a perfect example is a Serbian film.
I've not seen that one either yet.
I am in the extreme minority. I love that movie.
Really?
It's so good. It's so well made, and it just repeatedly punches you in the gut, though. But I don't think anybody should be in prison for it.
Prison for any type of art, as long as unless somebody got hurt on set or something like that. I mean, fuck. I mean, I saw Salo because I'd heard, some people, that's their top 10 favorite movies. And that movie was a movie I wish I'd never seen because it was so disturbing and so upsetting to me. And it was not my worldview, because it shows you a worldview where the bad guys win. It's just the bad guys win. But is that movie, people are all like, oh, that movie should have been thrown out. That movie should. No, it just doesn't stick with my worldview, but it was a well done movie, Yeah,
that's what I've heard. I haven't seen it personally.
I found it incredibly disturbing because just bad people win in the end.
Yeah.
And that's not my worldview, but now I'm glad I saw it because now I know what it is.
Right.
Let's talk about it. And I know a lot of people that's on their, some people say that movie should never be made. And then there's other people that say it's one of the top 10 best movies of all time. So it's like, any piece of art that divides people that much, you have to go, oh, is it a piece of art, and are you just bringing your worldview to it and you hate it because you don't see it way. You have to be objective or subjective about watching film, I think.
And it's like I think a lot of it is it's not even that far. It's that movie hurt my feelings. Yeah. So it's bad.
Dude, it's solid one film that you can't deny. It will shock. I mean, I was fucking shocked by it. I'd heard all the stuff I heard about it. I saw it and I wasn't like, oh, it's not as bad as it was like, oh yeah, it is as bad as I thought it. Whereas The House in Jacksonville was not did not live up to the hype. I wasn't maybe because I knew what to watch for.
Yeah. I think being prepared kind of takes the edge off of it a little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Salo, but it's on once you start watching extreme horror films, it's on every list you come across. You have to see it. So it's on. It's on
I think that even being prepared for it, still.
Yeah.
But then I think that'd be interesting. Well, it's about it's kind of like, why did he want to make it? It's about Marat Saad's based on his 110 days.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I just there was nothing to me. There was nothing positive in it. There was nothing. So it was very dark. I just felt like everything in it was just dark. And then the ending was dark. It's No Country for Old Men, the bad guy wins. But I love No Country for Old Men. I was able to hang with that. But Salo, I wasn't able to hang with. And it just is so bleak to me. Everything is so bleak, It's
kind of like Men Behind the Sun too. That movie is.
Oh, I never heard of that. Called
Men Behind the Sun. It's late 70s. It's Unit 731, the Chinese version of the Holocaust.
Oh shit!
It takes place in Unit 731, and it's a lot of the quote unquote experiments they were doing there. It works through that, and then kind of how in the end, I mean, it's half-assed historical. In the end, the camp is raided by the Allies or whatever, but it talks about how the lead doctor, the physician general, came to America and worked for our defense system, and and there were reports that because they were working on biochemical warfare and got shut down, and then when we went to the Korean front in the 50s, he showed up in Korea and biological warfare was introduced.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like oh man.
That's rough.
Yeah, but it's yeah, no, it's pretty fucking dark. But it's got that, 70s, early 80s splatter film gore and intestines and shit. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so it's fun ish.
Oh my gosh.
It's fucking
Well,
ridiculous.
I'd rather see a dark movie anyway than the news, so because I think
Oh,
at least
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
escape it. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, you gave me a lot of films to think about, so I'm gonna put Martyrs on my list and see it in a
It's
couple.
definitely worth it.
Yeah.
When you watch it, let me know.
I will. I'll be like you. Yeah, I think you're the one who told me to watch the Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I fucking loved. I thought that was so great.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, that was so that's a movie
good.
that I'm kind of like, why isn't everybody talking about that movie?
Yeah,
It's just
I
so
think,
well done.
yeah, and I don't understand.
It's not a perfect movie, but for a movie that
No,
takes
it
like
has its
one
flaws, but
location, yeah, like one location, scary, well written, well directed, well shot. I think it's just a fucking great job. I can't say enough good stuff about that film.
yeah, like I said, it's not perfect, but there's a lot of people who want to like dwell on the flaws. It's like, bitch, are you serious? Did you see that movie? It's just so
hard. It's so hard to make a movie in one location.
yeah. And like the story that went behind it was like so creative. It was so new.
It made me think about witches in a completely different way. I was like, what? I never thought about it that way. And I was terrified in parts of it. It was super scary.
Yeah, it's a genuinely scary movie, which is so rare.
Hard to do. Totally. Well, I think you'll find Marianne when you see that. I'm curious to see what you think about that, because I thought that was genuinely scary too.
I'm looking forward to checking it out here pretty soon. Like, hopefully after the end of the year, because everybody has to do the year-end lists and this and that.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're going to be super busy doing all that this year. Yeah, that's right. I forget. Yeah.
Those are hard. Super hard.
You got to do your top 10 horror movies of the year.
Yeah.
Is it in there? Tough. I haven't seen it 2 yet. Isn't that horrible? I haven't seen it yet. It's not.
It's not. It's nowhere near my list. It wasn't terrible.
Well, I've heard such mixed things. Like, people love it. Like, I love the first one, so I'm like looking forward to seeing the second one. I just haven't gotten around to it. But I know people either loved it or hated it. So I was like, wonder what you thought about it.
I caught shit for my opinion on it because I put it like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And chapter 2. Yeah, that's where I put it. But I love Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Well, there you go.
But it's not a horror movie. It's comedy. I went and saw it in a theater, and when you see a horror movie in a theater or with other people and something gets scary and you get like nervous laughter.
Right.
The nervous chuckles, because there was none of that. It was like rolling belly laughs through the theater.
Really?
Like there's one because the effects are just not good. And Pennywise ends up being funny. He's like never threatening through the whole movie. But there's one.
Did you like the first one? Did you like the first It? Because I love the first It.
It was okay. It was better than Chapter 2 by a mile. Bill Hader saved that movie. Like, Bill Hader was super fun in that movie. He's fucking hilarious. But I mean, I didn't like it. But I'm a huge King fan.
Yeah.
So
hard for you to hate it. Yeah.
I'm one of those pricks who are like, oh, the book was better,
Well, the book's always better, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, it was like I didn't like it as a an adaptation of It so much, and I didn't really like it as a horror movie. But like, if you got 3 or 4 friends together who haven't seen it or whatever, you're having a few drinks or whatever you do to relax, and turn it on. It's fucking funny. It's a ton of fun. Like, there's the scene that they hype up in the trailer with the little old lady. Uh-huh. She goes off screen and gets naked and whatever. Okay, well, she comes running out. She's like 7.5 foot tall CGI monster that looks like
that was ridiculous.
It looks like Smeagol from the Lord of the Rings, with these saggy, like, tube sock full of oatmeal looking boobs, just like pendulously swinging as it runs. And I almost died, like, right there.
Oh, I gotta see that. I know. I don't know why I haven't seen it in the theater. I was like all excited to see it, and then it was like every night was sold out. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm not gonna watch it till it comes out. And then I thought it was. Then I was like, oh shit, it's still in the theater. It's like it's still in the theaters. I haven't been able to see it yet. So I'm like, oh god.
I personally took some edibles and went to one of those 4D theaters with the moving seats and the air blasts and stuff. So yeah, I had a ton of fun.
Well, I'll be interested to see what your top 10 of the year is.
Oh Jesus!
You have to see Midsummer though before you make your top 10, because everybody's talking about Midsummer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is it's like when I kind of got the assignment for the other site that I work for. I write for the Dead Walk Online, and my editor was like, hey, do this, and I was like, yeah, sure. He was like, hey, what did you think of Midsummer? I was like, bro, I haven't seen it yet. He was like, you fucking kidding me? He was like, are you serious? Why? He was like, give me one good reason why you haven't seen it. I don't have one.
Yeah. I don't know. That was a movie too that I hadn't seen yet either. Like that and It, like the two movies. I feel like those are like the two biggest horror movies of the year, practically.
Did you see Joker?
I cannot wait to see Joker. I'm dying to see Joker, but I haven't seen it yet. No, I can't wait to see it.
Real shit. That's on my top 10 horror movies of the year.
No, everybody says he's just fucking amazing. I'm like really, because I know it's a psychological like.
Yeah, it's a fucking psychological horror movie. There's no other way around that. It's so good. Like,
yeah, that's like my next movie to see.
Like it makes you feel feelings, and
for the Joker.
Yeah, and like at one point my feelings came out of my eyes in this really weird way. It was ridiculous. It was It's a beautiful film. You have to see it.
I'm gonna definitely see that because I'm sure he's gonna get nominated for an Oscar for that. I mean,
I've heard fucking better.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I definitely have to see that, and we'll see. So, all right, man. Got a lot of stuff to put on my list now that I didn't know about.
Right. I'm gonna have to cut because now I have to go record an episode of The Big Show.
All right, man. Well, it's been fun, like shooting the shit with you. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Oh yeah, this has been great.
Yeah, it's been great catching up, and I'll have to see Midsummer, and we can compare notes on Instagram.
Definitely. If you see Martyrs, if you want, we'll do another one of these, and we'll fucking
talk about it. I'm gonna see it. I mean, you're like the third or fourth person that's like, this is one of my favorite horror movies. So I got to see it, but I am scared, but you're giving me courage to see it. So I'm putting it on my list and I'll see it.
Just watch something fun afterwards.
Will do. All right. Say hi to the guys for me. Thanks for chatting. It's been really fun.
Hey, will do. And thank you for coming. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents.